Well, as I mentioned earlier, the number one problem, of course, is the money. And if people like to have a family and they like to progress in raising their kids, they need every penny they could use. And we are taking away from the people that need it most, the most in taxes, and that is a property tax. Because everybody pays property taxes twice if he has a house. And that is once when they pay direct to the city or to the borough, and then they go shopping and pay the property tax of the business owner because it's part of their expense. If you want to have justification, that's the only way to raise the exemption to about 150,000 or maybe 200,000 and a 50,000 exemption for the renters, because the renters also pay double property tax. Once when they pay the rent, you know, rent goes up as taxes go up, and the second time when they go shopping. And the biggest problem here is the assemblies as well. You know, there's nothing we could do. They have to go to the legislature because they tell us no more than 20,000. Well, we have a constitution and that's a law. And the legislature has no business to tell the local community how much, 20, 50, 100, 200, whatever thousand. It is up to the local government to bring the question before the voters. You pass your ordinance and then it's approved, and that's all there is to it. So what I'm saying is, and this is why I run for both the city council and the borough assembly, we just have to pass an ordinance and put it before the voters, 100,000, 150, 200,000, whatever is decided. Forget about what the legislature is saying, and because they are illegal, their law, if it's in contradiction to the Constitution, is null and void. And then let them take us to court if they wish to do that. Thank you. Another second. I got that petition here, and if anybody had signed that, some of them did already. I have some copies here. Thank you.
You can see Wolfgang over there. I'd like to thank you, everybody, very much, and I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming. I know that the commitment that you make to coming to these forums and to putting yourself out in the public is tremendous, and I thank all of you and your families, especially for allowing you to do this. So we can have time for questions from the audience. We don't have a lot of time. It's 1 o'clock. I know some people had to leave to go back to their jobs, but we'll just spend a few minutes. And if you can speak loudly enough rather than coming up and grab the mic, and try to adjust it to the whole group. So, Valerie?
Yeah, I just, before people leave, I'm working with the NAACP and the J.P. Jones Community Center, and there's going to be a forum on the 29th from 12 to 2, and all the candidates are invited, and you should be getting a letter asking you to come because they wanted to also have a forum. And there's only a couple of us that are trying to organize it, and so a letter should be going out, but I also wanted to get out the word for you too. So it's next Saturday from 12 to 2. Thanks.
Any other questions for candidates? And we can address them to, I would prefer to address them to the whole seat, and that would be easier to see how it goes.
Karen Wilson talked about her community involvement and how she's testified. I was just wondering, for the other candidates, what their community involvement has been.
Okay, so the question is about response on your community involvement over the years. And let's see, we'll try coming up, but if that takes too long, we'll just answer from your seats. Wade?
Well, for 10 years of my life, I protected the community in the United States Army. I also was a military police officer, and I dealt with force protection and also worked as a patrol and a patrol supervisor on installations that had a population the same size as the city. I've also had, well, I'll use my coach's voice. I also have coached. I was a certified coach with USA Boxing. I've coached youth boxing, and I've also I've coached several times with the Fall Hawk here locally, and I'll also be coaching again this year with Fall Hawk. So help support local hockey.
Anybody else?
Well, I just completed my 17th year as chair of the Labor Day Committee. I've spent that many years coordinating cleanup day and food day, the food bank day for the labor community for 17 years. And a Sunday school teacher, PTA, actively involved in the community. This year, well, I think I saw Tammy at the legislative offices. This year, there was a proposal or a cutback for the Department of Labor unemployment offices in our community and 5 other rural communities. And I helped collect 5,000 signatures to ensure that that didn't happen.
Even though the question wasn't to me, I want to say it's just not governmental things I think are important too. I think it's also being involved in the community, because I am a board member of Love in the Name of Christ, and I help at Santa's Clearinghouse, and I think those things are important because it's one-time helps that we're able to give the community during those humps, and I think that's important that we give back to the community when the community did so good to us. Thank you.
Yes, I too. I think we have a lot of people that if you step up to do this type of things because you love to be involved in your community. I've been the co-chair for United Way. I'm involved in other things like Rotary. I've been a junior achievement instructor years ago in the schools. And so I think we all kind of try to find those niches that we can help our community out, which is important. Most of these organizations can't do it without volunteers giving of their time. And so I'm very proud to be involved in a lot of different things. Fortunately, my job allows me to do that, and then my evenings then are free to involve and getting, in weekends, getting out there and being part of our community. So I think a lot of us give of our time, and that's because that's something that we love to do in our community. So thanks very much for the question.
Go ahead.
Wolfgang, would you like to? The question is on community involvement.
Well, there is a community involvement that goes far beyond the community. I ran for House and for Senate in the past. I sued the state, the legislature, and right now I just 3 or 4 suits going against the law, just to keep them in line. The Constitution is a law, and the law has to be obeyed. And the most recent thing is, again, with a so-called homeowner exemption. See, what the board did is they said, well, look, you guys said you're behind with your taxes. You're not going to get it. And the law is totally against that. Of course, actually they had it in the newspaper that I'm behind with my taxes. And the main reason for that is I had to do that in order to file suit to bring the thing to the attention of the courts, because the assembly wouldn't listen to that. They are going always after the little guy that cannot defend themselves. And most of those guys that are behind with their taxes have problems like sickness, unemployment, really bad stuff, and they are just in a bad shape. And for that, because they get penalized anyway, everybody has to pay the 10% penalty. But over and above, the board says, well, no, you're not going to get that exemption. And that exemption is nothing but a softness to the double taxation. And this is wrong. I mean, it is just outright wrong. It's criminal as far as I can see. So this is why I'm doing things like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Dave, excuse me. In the wrong seat.
I guess the other assembly candidates can also answer that. I've run for office for 16 times. I've attended lots of city council and borough assembly and school board meetings and testified on various issues, especially public transit. One of the funnest things I ever did was run a restaurant called Get a Meal for a Song, where I had students coming there to play music. They got a free meal. Other people came in to see the videotapes of the music, and that brought me the income so that I could keep it going. So there's lots of creative things that I've done to help the community. Thank you. Luke, you want to jump in?
I think we could see if there's any other questions on a different subject.